I've heard you also talk about like pricing pages. Like, how do you think about good pricing page design, and how does that, impact like kind of the self-serve experience?
Yeah, I am a big fan of like the pricing page as a lever, in large part because we had such success. Like we launched a new pricing page early on in kind of this business unit, and we saw literally overnight the run rate in, increase by 2.5 million. It was unbelievable. It was like I couldn't. It like defied what I thought was reasonable. That like mainly a UI change could drive folks to purchase more. That's when I started to buy in and like, oh my God, like this stuff is real. Like you can improve some experience, some UI, and actually get like millions of dollars. It seemed crazy. So yeah, that was in large part kind of a design change, frankly. I think the other thing we learned there and that I still feel pretty strongly about is transparency. Like pricing transparency, if people want to buy it, let them buy it. Like don't force people into trial if they just want to buy it. Don't like force people into an annual commitment. Like if they don't want to offer, maybe a slightly more expensive monthly option. And so that's kind of like a tenet I still hold today of like, when in doubt, be transparent, be flexible, set expectations. I'm not always right. I'm learning as I'm in a much more upmarket space now, and some of those like principles are being challenged a little bit. But I certainly think like in the SMB space and the self-serve space, like you can never go wrong by just being like upfront.
Yeah. I'm curious about the sales team who usually wants to hide pricing. Like, how did Box's enterprise sales team kind of interact with the self-serve program? And because I imagine you sort of had these two different motions. There's the self-serve, motion, and then there's this more sales-led model. Like, how did they interact with each other?
Initially, very poorly. One of the first initiatives we did with the sales team is we basically like took away credit. We're like, hey, you are no longer getting paid on like trial conversions that you can't prove you helped. So we basically took out, I think, 20% of their quota attainment on the like SMB side, much less so on the enterprise side. So it was very bad initially. I think we kind of changed kind of how we thought of how sales gets credit for things that come online. That smoothed things over a bit. And then we really got in the mentality of like, our job is not just to hit these revenue numbers, but like feed the sales team. So like we have to, everything we do, we have to, come to the sales team and say like, hey, here's how it's going to help you. Here's how you can like leverage, all these new trials you're getting to hit your number. But yeah, it was not good initially. We ended up actually moving the business unit to report into sales at one point as a way to try to kind of like smooth things over. It's like, hey, the sales leader has to own, the AE driven sales and has to own online sales. And that way we can like force us to like get along. And it did work actually.